Hey everyone, and welcome back to this explainer. Okay, so today we are digging into a concept that honestly might just completely shatter your mental model of how the world actually works. See, most of us walk around every single day with this deeply ingrained 50-50 assumption. We just kind of expect that equal effort produces equal results, right? We think all of our customers are equally valuable, that all our daily habits are equally productive, and that every single hour we work yields the exact same amount of output. But today, using Richard Koch's incredible insights from his landmark book, we're going to explore why that entire assumption is fundamentally backward. It turns out the universe is actually incredibly unbalanced. And trust me, once you see this imbalance, it is literally impossible to unsee it.
So what are we actually going to get out of this today? Well, we're going to completely dismantle that 50-50 myth and instead figure out how to identify the vital few inputs in our lives. And by vital few, I mean that very small handful of actions, relationships, and strategies that are actually driving the vast majority of your wealth, your success, and your happiness. As we go through this, you'll learn how to multiply your business profitability, totally revolutionize the way you manage your time, and, this is my favorite part, deliberately engineer your own personal happiness. And the kicker? We're going to do all of this without working ourselves to the bone. The entire goal here is to achieve vastly more while paradoxically working a lot less.
Here's our quick roadmap for today's explainer, moving right along with the book's index. First, the principle of imbalance. Second, strategy and business application. Third, the time revolution. Fourth, engineering your happiness. And finally, number 5, we'll wrap up with some final thoughts and questions.
All right, let's jump right into section 1, the principle of imbalance and the secret of achieving more with less.
Like we just talked about, society basically conditions us to believe in a 50-50 world. We assume that if we work for 10 hours, each of those 10 hours contributes exactly 1/10 to our final output. Makes sense on paper, right? But way back in 1897, there's this Italian economist named Vilfredo Pareto, and he noticed a really strange, recurring imbalance in the world. He was looking at data and saw that a tiny minority of the population always seemed to possess a disproportionately massive share of the wealth. And that, right there, is the 80-20 principle in a nutshell. It states that roughly 80% of the consequences flow from just 20% of the causes. It's like this image right in front of you. A tiny sliver of inputs generates that absolutely massive block of outputs. Now, quick caveat, it doesn't have to be exactly an 80-20 mathematical split. It could be 70-30, or even an extreme 99-1. But the underlying, undeniable truth here is that the universe operates on extreme imbalance.
To really ground this theory and show you that it's not just abstract math, let's look at how this shows up in your everyday life. I mean, think about the clothes in your closet right now. I guarantee you probably wear just 20% of your wardrobe about 80% of the time. The rest is just taking up space. Or look at the carpet in your house. 20% of it, the main walkways, the path to the kitchen, gets 80% of the wear and tear. And if you run a company or work in customer service, oh, you definitely know this one. Just 20% of your customers account for an agonizing 80% of your complaints. Meanwhile, roughly 20% of your products are quietly generating 80% of your total profits. Once you grasp this, it becomes so clear. Equal effort simply does not yield equal reward.
And honestly, it gets even more fascinating when you look at global habits. Check this out. Roughly 20% of beer drinkers consume 80% of all the world's beer. Think about that for a second. The casual weekend drinkers, they barely make a dent in the overall numbers compared to that vital few core group of consumers. Once you train your brain to start looking for this skewness, I promise you're going to start seeing it pop up everywhere. In every single aspect of human behavior and natural systems. It's literally everywhere.
So, how do we actually use this? Koch divides our approach into 2 distinct methods, 80-20 analysis and 80-20 thinking. Now, 80-20 analysis is highly quantitative. This is for when you have the hard data right in front of you, like a strict spreadsheet of your top-selling products. You measure it, you rank it, and you find that imbalance mathematically. But 80-20 thinking? That is a bit more fuzzy. It's qualitative. And honestly, it is an absolute superpower for your daily life. It's about acting on your intuition, testing a hypothesis before perfect data even exists. A brilliant example of this fuzzy thinking is opening up an inbox of 50 unread emails, glancing at it, and instinctively knowing which 3 actually require a response today based purely on their potential impact. You didn't do a mathematical breakdown, you just used 80-20 thinking.
Moving right along to section 2, strategy and business application. And specifically, why your current strategy might be totally wrong.
If you run a business or even if you just manage a team, conventional wisdom is always screaming at us to grow everything and serve absolutely everyone. Add more products to the line, chase down every single potential customer. But as you can clearly see with this breakdown of top products, that conventional strategy is often completely flawed. Trying to be everything to everyone is actually the fastest way to destroy your margins. In almost every business out there, if you build 5 products, just one of them will often generate more profit than the other 4 combined. I mean, look at Apple. The iPhone generates more profit than their MacBooks, iPads, watches, and AirPods all combined. A tiny fifth of your revenues can literally produce 4/5 of your overall profit. It's wild, but it's true.
Now, you might be wondering, well, why are those other products for marginal customers so unprofitable? The answer boils down to one word: complexity. Complexity is this insidious, hidden enemy that quietly destroys your returns. When you add marginal, low-selling products, or when you take on incredibly difficult, low-value customers, you don't just add a tiny bit of extra work. You're actually adding entire layers of management, endless communication threads, special exceptions, and massive overhead. Simplicity, on the other hand, is beautiful. A large business doing one thing exceptionally well, that is an absolute powerhouse. But a business trying to do thousands of unrelated things, that's just a bureaucratic maze.
Which leads us to some pretty tough but absolutely crucial advice. You need to isolate that top 20% of your customers, the ones giving you 80% of your revenue and profit. And once you find them, you lavish them with exceptional attention. I'm talking proactively calling them, offering customized solutions, and actually developing your future products right alongside them. And, well, what about the remaining 80% of customers, especially the ones who are creating 80% of your headaches and complaints while generating barely any profit? You should seriously consider firing them. Literally. Just let them go. It sounds radical, but it's a total game changer.
All right, let's shift gears a bit. Section 3, the time revolution. Being free and working less.
Modern society right now suffers from a chronic, massive obsession with busyness. We are frantic. We constantly feel like we are just drowning, like we simply do not have enough hours in the day. But I want you to really listen to this profound quote from Richard Koch. He says, "It is not shortage of time that should worry us, but the tendency for the majority of time to be spent in low-quality ways." Read that again. The goal of time management should never, ever be to just squeeze more mundane tasks into a single hour. That's a trap. The actual goal is to identify the low-value hours that shouldn't even exist in the first place and entirely rip them out of your schedule. It's about mastering the art of productive laziness.
So, how do we actually fix our chaotic schedules? We can start by doing a quick energy audit across 3 areas of our lives. First, look at your past. Identify the projects you are genuinely proud of. You know, the ones where the deep satisfaction you felt far exceeded the actual pain of doing the work. Next, look at the present. What sustains you today? Maybe grinding out a grueling 1-hour jog leaves you completely drained for the rest of the day, but a highly focused 20-minute kettlebell workout leaves you feeling totally energized. Notice that difference. Finally, look at the future. What upcoming events are you actually genuinely looking forward to? By mapping all this out, you start to isolate the vital 20% of activities that actually yield far more energy than they consume. Now, I want to do some quick math with you here to show you the compounding effect of this. Let's say you currently spend just 20% of your time on those vital few activities. And as we know, that tiny chunk is giving you 80% of your current success and happiness. Well, what happens if you consciously start stealing time away from the trivial many, all that busy work and admin? If you just double your time spent on the vital few, pushing it from 20% to just 40% of your schedule, you can theoretically experience 160% of the success and happiness that you enjoy today. No way, right? But it's true. And you do this by brutally learning the art of saying no to the things that drain you and heavily investing in your unique strengths.
Which brings us to our 4th section, engineering your happiness and building a truly holistic 80-20 life.
Look, happiness is not just something that randomly strikes you out of nowhere. It actually displays a massive 80-20 pattern, and because of that, it can be deliberately engineered. You start by identifying your happiness islands. For example, maybe hanging out with one incredibly close friend for a few hours is vastly more emotionally rewarding for you than spending quadruple that amount of time making awkward small talk with casual acquaintances at a big party. Focus on the island. Next, identify your achievement islands, those specific peaks in your work where you feel completely alive and highly effective. Then you have to ruthlessly target your unhappiness valleys. Eliminate the obligations that are making you miserable. Pawn off the 80% of tasks you absolutely hate doing. Seriously, can you hire someone cheaply to mow the lawn, do your mindless data entry, or clean the house? Because every single hour you free up from an 80% task gives you time to multiply your joy in a 20% activity.
But, and this is a really big but, we absolutely cannot treat all of life like it's just some cold productivity spreadsheet. There are 2 distinct dimensions here. Dimension 1 is efficiency.
This is for your chores, your daily routines, your admin work. Here, yes, you use the 80-20 rule brutally. You automate, you delegate, you eliminate. But dimension 2 is life enhancement. This is for love, for deep creativity, and for truly meaningful work. You don't try to be efficient when just spending quality time with your spouse or playing in the yard with your kids, right? The whole point is that you use the extreme, calculated efficiency of dimension 1 to create massive, open, unhurried, beautiful space for dimension 2.
And that brings us perfectly to our final section for today: final thoughts and questions. We have covered some incredible ground today, haven't we? We've moved all the way from the mathematical, economic origins of this principle straight through to how it can redesign your business strategy, completely reshape your calendar, and revitalize your personal happiness. So here is my direct challenge to you. Sometime tonight, sit down, open up your calendar, look at your project lists, review your customer database, and heck, even evaluate your personal relationships. Put them all out there on the table in front of you and draw a hard line right down the middle. I want you to ruthlessly separate the vital few from the trivial many. We have to stop pretending that everything matters equally, because as we've seen today, it simply doesn't.
To wrap this all up, I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought to chew on. Really look at your daily routines, your business strategies, and all of your personal commitments, and ask yourself this: what are you continuing to do simply because you've always done it? Where exactly is the hidden 80% of waste in your life that is quietly consuming your time and energy without giving you joy or tangible results in return? Find it, eliminate it, and just watch how much your life expands when you do. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Until next time, stay focused on your vital few.